No role plays, just real. Chris and Lorenzo share 4 decades of combined experience to help you become a more effective leader.
We've never really, as a workforce, spent a lot of time on making sure we're developing good leaders.
We'll be able to share stories, experience, mistakes, failures, successes.
This is Hacking Your Leadership.
Welcome to Hacking Your Leadership. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lorenzo.
And Lorenzo, on this episode, I want to talk about leadership superpowers.
I like this. This is good.
Yeah, so I was thinking because many years ago, I had a mentor or leader who invested a lot in me at times when I probably didn't deserve it. At times when I felt like, why isn't this person just writing me off? Because I was not focused. I was not committed to doing the job that I was doing. I was just kind of treading water a little bit and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And they kind of pushed me to know what I was capable of and to not allow me really to settle for less than that. And one of the things that I took from that feeling that I got from that person is something that I think it sometimes even subconsciously tried to replicate in others because of what I took from that relationship and that experience. And so if I had to kind of boil down leadership in terms of what my leadership superpower is the ability to hold somebody accountable from the standpoint of they genuinely understand that I want them to succeed. Not that I'm holding them accountable because it's my job to hold them accountable or because it will make my life easier if they do their job better, but because I actually love seeing the look in somebody's eyes when they reach the potential that they knew they were capable of, or maybe one they didn't even think they were capable of, but they were able to get there through accountability. And I love this because I think a lot of people try to be all things to all people. They try to be the best leader in all aspects of leadership. And there's no way that anybody's going to be. There's no way that any leader is going to be perfect at all aspects of leadership. But kind of doubling down or focusing, being really able to articulate well the thing that you think you do well, I think you can get a lot of distance on that as a leader, even if you fall short in some other areas. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important. I think it's really critical to understand how you can lean into really not only who you are as a leader, but what are the things or what is the thing that really drives your ability to be successful. So like I was actually, just the other day, I was having some conversations. I had a chance to talk to some college students just around within the music industry, music business, but also around leadership. And I had some side conversations with 2 students, Cullen and Everett, separate conversations, but similar ideas around something just like this, where we were talking about the importance. They were asking questions about leadership. They were asking questions about, how do they have an impact as they are, finishing up their college career or looking for jobs or doing interviews, or that they want to be able to influence and lead people and these types of things. And I said, you really have to take time to reflect and think about and define what is that unique strength that you have? What is that unique skill? How do you show up? What's your perspective of the world and things around you? And are you aware of that? And are you aware of the impact that you have on people? And then, why is that an impact that you have? And what are you doing to sharpen that type of skill? So this kind of dialogue around the superpower, or being really clear about what exactly is it that you feel that you can bring to and leverage to help people grow and develop and challenge themselves and be successful. I think it's critical because there's so many things that you can do in leadership. People talk about, kind of empathy and listening, active listening, and the ability to give really clear direction and like all these types of theories and ideas. But what is the actual singular thing that you just naturally do, that you haven't really thought about or haven't considered, that has helped you to be able to be successful in influencing people, which really at the end of the day is leadership.
Right. I like how you put that in terms of what are the things, or what's the thing that you don't even think about. And I think that's what it comes down to, because the thing that a lot of us are really good at, the things that we're good at, we don't think of as things that we're good at because they come so naturally that it becomes not something we have to be intentional on doing anymore. It's just a part of who we are, a part of our personality or how we connect with people. And when that can happen, what we lose the ability to do is articulate that we're doing it to begin with, to articulate the examples that we have of doing it, unless someone kind of like, kind of gives us a little shove to say, think about when you've done this and this and this and this and this. And then if I put it in that context and think, oh yeah, I can think of 100 examples where I've done exactly what I said at the beginning, held somebody accountable to where they change what they're doing, not because they're afraid of losing their job or they're afraid of getting written up, but because they just made this decision that somebody out there cares about my success apparently more than I do. Maybe I should kind of rise to the occasion and meet them where they are and at least care about myself and my own success to the level that they do. It's incredible what you can see out of people when they kind of get that jolt. But again, without being kind of forced to think about it in that context, it's just what I do. It's just how I go through my day. And I think a lot of our leadership superpowers are like that, are things that we have almost lost the ability to articulate, or we've never thought about articulating it because it's just who we are.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I was having this other conversation a couple of weeks ago with a leader around kind of trusting your gut or intuition.
Sure.
And we tend to think like this is some kind of magical, universal way of knowing something can either go right or wrong, or why we do the things that we do. And I said, my belief is actually it's the unconscious or subconscious response to many years potentially or interactions of experience. That's really what intuition is that you've seen this multiple times, or you've seen this enough in your life, or maybe you've seen it one time and it was really impactful, but now you kind of have this spidey sense or this feeling of what you should do and what's in front of you, and you're not even thinking about reflecting on why you feel that way about it. You just know that you feel a way, and you're kind of trusting that instinct or that intuition. And I said, well, that comes from a place.
Sure.
That comes from something. And I think as leaders, sometimes we have to pause and think about why. Why does that either feel right or wrong to me in the moment? Why do I feel the need to want to react to this conversation or this topic or this situation in the way in which I do? And sometimes we need to either reprogram maybe that response and think about that, because in a lot of ways the intuition can be helpful, but in some ways it can be harmful if your initial gut reaction is to project your own feelings on something when somebody else is sharing something with you. We talked a little bit about this a couple of weeks ago on the show, just around like the ability to respond to somebody in a way that is on their terms and allowing them to share what's going on and not putting your own feelings behind it. But I think it falls in this space as well when it comes to defining your superpower. It's a lot of self-reflection. It's a lot of stopping and thinking and pausing and then realizing, is this something that is uniquely me that allows me to bring this to a larger team potentially and help add some value?
Right. If you just think about it in the context of look at the average job posting out there that talks about what are the things that they're looking for. Oh, to be good at this job, you have to be able to do this and this and this. And there's usually a list of between 5 and 15 things if you see in a job posting. And there isn't a single one I've ever seen where I look at all 15 and go, oh my gosh, I am amazing at all of these, right? But in all of them, there's like a handful where I go, oh, you know what? I'm really good at those things. And then there's like 1 or 2 where I'm like, oh, that's my jam right there. Like that is it. And then there's a few things where I think I'm not really great at these things, but I can kind of fake it till I make it a little bit here. And I think that can lead a lot of people to say, you know what, this isn't right for me because I'm not amazing at all of these things. And it's like, well, if I am posting for a job, I need to be able to say all of the things that I think would make this a success. But the likelihood of finding a person who is literally a ninja at all of them is just it's virtually impossible. Mainly because a lot of the skills are things that I think if a person is really good at one, it makes them probably not as good at another one of them. Like they almost contradict each other in terms of the types of personalities that you see out in the world, and the spaces that people naturally gravitate towards. I look at human resources in general. The dichotomy in human resources over the last 20 years, where it used to be just human resources was just in general you were a human resources person, and now there's this kind of divide between, are you part of the data analytics systems part of human resources, or are you part of the people leadership development part of human resources? And the reason that divide has happened is because, lo and behold, people who are really, really good and really passionate about one of those two things typically have to kind of fight to be good at the other one. And that's just who we are. And so instead of trying to fight that kind of natural human tendency and say, no, we want people who are amazing at both of these things, and then you end up getting people who are like kind of B- players at both. No, you divide up the responsibilities, and you find people who are just amazing A players at that one thing that they do, or that one space that they play in. And so I like this topic a lot, because if I think about the times I've looked at job postings online and opted out because I didn't say, oh, I'm amazing at all these things, in hindsight, maybe it's like, maybe I didn't need to be amazing at all those things. Maybe I just needed to be really, really good at a couple of things, and then go through the interview process or go through the talking process with that organization and find out if maybe that thing that I'm really, really good at is the thing that they are lacking the most. And they think, oh, you know what? Chris maybe wasn't amazing at all of these things we put on the job application part of it, or the posting, but the things that he's really good at are the things that we are really lacking on this team right now. And you might find yourself in a similar situation, and all you can do is make the attempt and try, because if it wasn't a fit, then that's fine too, and you move on, you find something else. But how great a feeling would it be to be on a team where the thing that you're great at is the thing that team is lacking the most? Yeah,
no, I think sometimes as a leader, it comes upon us to discover those things as well, because similar to a job description or what people are hiring for, here's all the things that you'd like to have. It's the same thing when it comes to kind of building teams of people, is that, I'd love there to be like the full circle of like the ideation person, and the person who like picks things apart and makes them better, than the person who like is like, oh, I've got it from here and I have no opinions on any of the ideas, but I'm really good at executing them. Mm-hmm. And then the person who's like, yes, and then I'm really good at taking that and then bringing it to a team and allowing team to be empowered. Like, that's that doesn't work that way, and so you have to find spaces where maybe amongst your team there are most of the things are covered, or some of the things are covered really, really well, and then you have to figure out, as a leader of people, what's the person that you need for the team that can help bring that skill set and that capability. Which is why it's important that not only are you looking to understand what people bring from a unique standpoint, but that they are capable of explaining to you what it is that they bring from a unique standpoint. But then sometimes as a leader, you have to fill those gaps as well. Maybe you don't have that thing for a team, and they need it, and maybe it might not be the thing that you're the best at, but that does also fall into your lap sometime, where you have to be the one to fill the gaps on those types of teams. And so knowing what is your main number one thing is important, because you're going to have to leverage that to potentially create some bandwidth for you to help in the other spaces.
Right. I think this is a really cool thing, because I've been in rooms where I've been part of panel interviews, where I've been like amongst a group of maybe 5 or 6 people, interviewing somebody or interviewing multiple people for a role, and heard my fellow panel interviewers say after an interview, oh wow, that person was amazing at this and this and this, but those questions we asked about this one thing, I didn't get the sense they were really good at that, and they wanted to move on, and I wanted to say, like, in the time, I felt like it was wrong to kind of say that, oh, no, it's okay that they're not good at that thing. But it's really easy to get in the mindset of, yeah, you're right, they're not good at this one thing that we say is a necessary part of the job. In hindsight, it's more like, well, no, this is exactly, we can keep looking forever to find the person who really checks off all these boxes. And what we're going to end up with is someone who just doesn't make us go, ooh, on any of them, but they're also not going to make us go wow on any of them either. They're going to be that person who just is kind of okay at everything. And when you're just okay at everything, I don't think you have the same impact on a team as if you become the person that really, like, I look at it like, to think about like the Marvel superhero universe, right? there's this like kind of very, very small overlap when it comes to the different people in the Marvel universe of, Captain America and Iron Man and the Hulk, but they each have their own kind of thing that they bring that the other parts of the team cannot bring. They're unique in that sense. And in some of the things, they're terrible at it. Some of the things they're terrible at are things that other people bring in, but together as a team, they become, much more unstoppable. And I think that's when it comes to leadership teams, that's ultimately what you need to be looking for, is to be on a team where not everybody is trying to be or expected to be the best at everything, but rather people are able to double down on the thing that they can bring the most. I also think when there's an acceptance of that and there is an acknowledgement of that, there's also less infighting. Because you kind of allow your peers to make the impact in the space that they play the best in, and you don't naturally feel this kind of like this tinge of like competition or this kind of feeling of like, ooh, I better up my game here, or I might be replaced, or I might not be able to make my contribution. It's like, no, don't forget about that. Contribute where you are meant to contribute because of the natural skills and abilities that you have and the things that you love, and allow others to play in their space too. I think you get a lot of team cohesion when you can focus on that.
Absolutely. And with that, it brings us this episode's 1 minute hack. But first, a few words from our sponsors.
The 1 minute hack.
All right, for this episode's 1 minute hack, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get out a pen and paper, and I want you to write down kind of your gut feeling about what you believe your leadership superpower is. It has to be written in a way where if you said it to somebody else, they'd know exactly what you meant. So it can't be vague and high level. It has to be really specific on the thing that you do best that makes you a good leader. After you've written that down, I want you to reach out to 3 people who are close to you. It could be one person that you work with now, but at least 2 people who you don't work with on a daily basis, but who you have a close relationship with in a business setting. And I want you to ask them the same question about what your leadership superpower is. You want them to define it with you. These are people who you trust, who won't look at you weird because you're asking, but reach out to them and get them to articulate what they think it is, and kind of gut check it with what you've put down on paper. Maybe refine it a little bit if you have to compared to what they say, but define it. Be able to really define what that leadership superpower is, so that in your day-to-day actions, you can make sure that you are really doubling down on it. You're focusing on getting yourself into more interactions where you can let that superpower shine, and less interactions where you're kind of having to, fight to get better at something that you might not naturally be great at.
Yeah, I think it's a great 1 minute hack, and just a reminder of, at the end of the day, as leaders, we have to be really conscious of exactly what we bring. And there may be an expectation that you're relatively good at a lot of things, but when you are able to understand, to define exactly what it is that makes you somebody that is really capable of influencing people in a positive way, then it also helps you to refine that. Personally, I'm a connector. It's just the thing that over time and in my life that I've been able to leverage a lot, getting to know people quickly to understand like where we have overlap, and then be able to engage with them in something that we have in common is really what allows me to be able to understand them and to have better dialogue, and to show that off the bat that we are more, that we have something in common that we can discuss, and that allows me to then get to know somebody without the initial conflict of just somebody new and different, and it's just something that I really, really lean into heavily. And there are other things that I think that I do well, but for me, that's been something tried and true over the years that's allowed me to build really great professional and personal relationships.
Right. The ability to do this will make you absolutely come off like an authentic person, because whatever this is that you do well, whatever your leadership superpower is, the more you do of it, because it is something that is so natural to you, whatever it is, you will be seen as a person who is genuine and authentic in whatever that space is. And the more you can be seen as authentic, as not someone who's trying to be something they are not, the more people will naturally gravitate towards you for that thing that you do well.
Absolutely. And with that, it brings us to the end of this episode. This is Hacking Your Leadership. I'm Lorenzo.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll talk to you all next time.